Hello, and welcome to another Mapping It Out Wednesday. And this Wednesday, Akila and I are together, and I'm going to be honest and say, I don't know what we're talking about today.
We're talking about the performance triangle.
Ah, yes, the performance triangle. That's what we're talking about.
You're just too tired.
I am. It's early. So, okay. So did you want me to open up the performance triangle for you?
Yes, ma'am. It would, visual would help.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to charge you for that.
How much? I could afford you.
Okay. That's funny. Like I can afford it. It's fine. All right. So as we all know, technology is always fun, but oh wait, hold on before we share. Let me go back. Technology is fun, but you have to actually work with it. There we go.
And you're much better at it than I am.
All right, let's try this again. There we go. Now I'm actually sharing the performance triangle.
Perfect. Perfect.
Okay. We're in business, as they say.
So the performance triangle, what it's talking about is that good performance, bad performance, mediocre performance, all of them depends on the same thing. And there's 3 points to the triangle. One is direction, one is skills and talents and knowledge, and then the other one is motivation and behavior. And those three things makes up performance. It's funny how most times when we talk about performance in a workplace, it's about direction, which is about leadership, and skills and knowledge and talents.
Mhm.
The motivation has never been a part of it. It's almost like
Yeah.
the forgotten leg of the stool, you know, which everybody knows. If you have a three-legged stool and you sit on one with two legs, you're going to be possibly ending up on something soft.
Yeah,
And
you
I'm
will
not
fall
talking
down.
about a cushion.
You will fall down. That is true.
Yes, yes. So I wanted to talk about this today and the part that it plays.
Mm.
Um, and like I said, the good thing about this, and they are all important. If we start with direction, direction means strategy, it means leadership skills, and it also means a person's ability to make plans, to know what they're going to do. So it applies at all levels, from the personal
Mm.
to the managerial to leadership levels. Okay. So
Mm.
when we look at that, the big thing is it doesn't matter how much knowledge and skills and talents that you have or how motivated you are, if you don't have the right strategy or you have the wrong strategy, you will be going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So having the right direction and the right people in terms of leadership and the ability to think about what they're going to do next and plan their work is very important when it comes to performance. Okay. And then if we look at skills and talents and knowledge, again, you can have a great direction, highly motivated team, but if they don't know how to get it done, it is going to seriously impact the performance.
Mhm.
And by the same token, if you have, great direction, great talent, but people who are not motivated and they don't have the behaviors to support that motivation, then you're not going to get very far. So that's what I'm saying. There's not one that is more important than the other. They're all three important and they're all three needed for you
Mhm.
to have great performance.
Yeah.
Because if like any one of those that's missing is going to result in poor performance. If you have all of them operating at a mediocre level, you will have mediocre performance. And when we talk about high performance, it means having all three in place to give you a high performance. So when we look at that, as I said, usually the strategy is done by the organizational leadership. And then that flows down to the employees via management, and that's management abilities to plan and communicate with the employees. And that brings in skills and knowledge and talent. So when I want to look at this, a different way of explaining this is direction. We look at that, and you remember how we have the three clusters, okay? The red, the green, and the blue.
Good. Yeah.
And they represent different portions of the brain. They represent different time frames in terms of like the green, which is normally relationship, it's in the past. The blue is the future, it's growth. And the red is the here and now, and that's achievement. So to relate this in ways that people understand even better, when you are working in that side of the triangle, it's your intention that counts, okay? It's your intention, the work you're going to do, when it's going to do it, and then your ability to plan to do that work when you said you're going to. If people are really good at that, they look at, in the pre-planning, they will look at what could go wrong and put in contingency plans so things don't catch them by surprise. That is something that I have always believed in, contingency planning. So if something happens, it's not, oh my God, what are we going to do? And causes chaos and stress. It's like, oh, okay, we had hoped this wouldn't happen, but it has. And this is what we're going to do to get past it, to go over it, through it, around it, whatever it is we have to do, and then keep moving on. Now, so intention is very, very important. And then when we move down to the skills and talents and knowledge, that is all about preparedness. If you think about it, if your intention is to build a coffee table, let's say, okay, and that's great. Now, if you want to do it yourself, you have to take an inventory of your skills. Do I know how to use the saw without cutting off my arm? Do I know how to use a hammer without damaging my thumbs? You know, what are the tools I'm going to need? This is part of your preparedness. Do I know how to handle these tools? If not, where can I learn how to do them safely? And if you think, no, I just don't want to do that, then it's a matter of hiring somebody who have these skills that is needed to create that coffee table. And then when you do that, if you hire somebody, then you start to go, well, when are you going to be available? How long is this going to take? And what materials are you going to need? Like, here's what I want it to look like. What materials are you going to need? So that's the preparedness so that you can meet your goals on time, within budget, and get you the beautiful coffee table that you want. So then we move on to motivation. And this one is about energy. That is the blue. It's if you have the energy to do it yourself, that's great. You're motivated. It's something you really want. It's fulfilling probably your creativity or some other need. And you've got your intention, what it is you want to build. You're now prepared. And all you need is the energy to keep moving and get it done. And that's where the motivation, that's where it has to be your top three motivators, it has to be fulfilling at least one of those, if not all three, for you to get this done on time, for it to be a high performance, um, for it to be high performance.
Mhm.
If, for example, you hired somebody and they've got the skills, but they're not really motivated to do it, what kind of impact will that have on your timeline, and the possibility of you meeting that goal within the time frame and the budget that you want to?
I would imagine that it would slow down the project as an example, because the person's not really, they're not bringing enough energy to accomplish it, even though they have the skills.
Mhm.
So there's some procrastination that would occur, which could slow down and this is an assumption, but that there'd be procrastination, but they would slow down the timeline. So it would be difficult to get things done, and there would be a lot of having to push them and keep them on task, and which is just more draining for everyone involved.
Exactly. And that is not something, that is something that you often see. Well, I hear of people in the people who are hiring a craftsman to do something, and the person is busy, they've got so much on their plate, they've got personal things, they what have you, and they're saying, well, I can't show up today to get it done. I'll have
Mhm.
to put that off for a couple of days. And that can continue. So one of the questions, if you were going to do this, is you need to know how invested your craft person is in your project
Mhm.
if you want that high energy or high performance. Okay. And that is exactly the same when we are looking at our employees. And that's why motivation maps is so important. Is this going to be a job that is energizing them? Is it going to fulfill their need for creativity, for belonging, for safety and security, so
Mhm.
that this job becomes important to them because it fills that need.
Mhm.
They've got the direction and they have the skills and talent. You know, over the years, and it used to be, and I don't know, it's been a while since I have worked directly in an organization as an employee. But
Mhm.
I remember where if somebody wasn't meeting their goals, the solution was, let's give them more training. They need to go on a course.
Right.
You know. But if they're highly skilled, they don't need another course. But that's all. And you've taught classes. Have you ever had people in your class who felt they were mandated to come to that class?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
they just don't participate. They don't care. It doesn't matter. So it's one ways that companies are wasting their training budget
Mhm.
because they don't know that the issue here is not skills and knowledge or direction, it's motivation.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes that person can be extremely disruptive in a session because they don't want to be there.
No, no.
And it's not, and a lot of times they have extensive knowledge. And that's the other thing, is that if they are an expert in the subject that is being presented, then
Hmm.
they feel like the whole thing is a bit condescending to them.
Yes, yes.
And that's the other thing, is that if we're not focused on making sure that our intentions are straight as leaders giving those directions, and the that people do have the skills and that they do have the energy around it, we're missing so many opportunities, and we lose good people because we are really not supporting them.
Yes, that is so true. As a matter of fact, we have another chart. We don't have it up today. Maybe we can look at it another time and talk about it. But essentially, what it says is it's had four quadrants, and the top left-hand quadrant is where we have high performance, high motivation.
Mm.
no, sorry, I take that back. It's the right, top right. It's high performance, high motivation. Okay. And basically, it's the one on the top left is high performance, or no, it's high motivation, low skills and knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the one at the bottom left is low motivation, low skills and knowledge. And the one at the bottom left is high skills, low motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And amazingly enough, it's people who fall into that category are managers and long-term employees because they have gained the skills, but after a while it becomes rote, then it becomes boring. They are not exercising their creativity. They're not learning anything new. And unfortunately, what that does, I hate to say this, but it's like a cancer in the organization because just as motivation is catching, demotivation is also catching.
Yes.
Because somebody who is demotivated, they have nothing good to say about their work. You know, they may be, if the company is a great company, they may say good things about the company, but their work is not something that satisfies them anymore. So they find all kinds of fault with that. And if somebody says, oh, this is such a great job, somebody new moves in, go, oh, I just love my job. They go, oh, yeah, wait a few years.
Yeah.
What does that do to the person?
Yeah.
It plants the seeds of demotivation.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. We don't always subscribe to this, but the research has backed this, that energy is like a contagion.
Yes.
And we forget that. We forget that emotions are like a contagion and energy is like a contagion. That it's very easy for that low energy or even high energy, depending upon the situation, can really just go through an organization.
That's right. It makes a huge difference because if somebody influential, and when I say influential, it doesn't have to be that their position is influential. If there's somebody who holds a department together, okay, and they're in a great mood, that will really feed the energy to that team for that day.
Yeah.
If they're in a bad mood, it will feed the energy as well. Because, as you said, it's a contagion. And this is somebody that most people in the team are connected to. So their attitude, their energy is a mirror for the team.
Yeah.
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 So that is a big one. And so, like I said, if you were to go through the quadrant on the very bottom left quadrant is if the person had been there for a long time, they're now demotivated and they still can't do their job. That's when you would put in a performance plan and for them. And if they meet the performance plan, they could move up into the quadrant that is above it that says, yep, you're still low skill, but at least you're now more motivated. You're willing to do the work to become higher skilled.
Yeah.
And as they build their skills and stay motivated, they move into the top right quadrant, which is high skill, high motivation, and which means high productivity. Okay.
So as people are listening to this, I wonder if a question here would be, if I am the leader of the organization and I'm recognizing the things that you're saying right now are happening in my organization. I have highly skilled talent. They've been in the organization for a long time. I've been setting direction in a way that's very purposeful and intentional, but I'm noticing that the energy level is very low. What is something that I can start to do either to really diagnose this or just start to work on improving that energy?
The best thing you can do is hire a motivational mapper to do a team audit.
Mm.
Better yet, if you have them do a departmental audit or a company-wide audit, especially if you're not a large company,
Mm.
it gives you so much information about how are these people feeling? Like, what is their level of motivation as a group, not individually? We report the aggregate numbers. How are they feeling about their work? What is the thing that bothers them the most? Or what are their top 3 satisfier and their bottom 3 dissatisfiers? And it will also help you to understand why they're feeling this and not energetic. Sometimes, and quite often actually, there's little things that you can do to start work on the situation.
Mm.
If it's a big thing, you start working on it, but you let them know. The little things make them feel, oh yeah, this is important, and they're doing something about it. Okay?
So you're
So
talking about quick wins to
quick wins, yes.
build momentum.
Yes, exactly, to build a momentum.
Mhm.
And as I said, there's often ways to do that once you understand their motivational drivers and where they're at. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
so a quick example, because I love this. This is really great because I'm imagining there's someone listening to us right now that's sort of saying, I feel this happening in my department or my team,
mhm,
and they're excited about, getting a mapper, a practitioner to be able to help them and do a team map.
mhm.
So just to give like a quick example of a quick win that they can have. So if they discover that their team as a collective are really in the growth cluster and they are energized by purpose and freedom and innovation.
Yeah.
Uh, what is something then, just a quick like example so that they can really, so that as people are listening, they can sort of make the connection. What is something that you would recommend for a team that's motivated by growth, as an example?
Okay. So I have an example of that.
Mm.
There was one of my clients, and their team was very purposeful. Like, that was the number one motivator in the company.
Mhm.
And they were doing the kind of work that was, it's what they call the clean energy.
Mm.
Yeah, they were in the clean energy field, so they were innovative in doing that. And the outcome of their work was great, except they did not have any way of knowing that.
Mm.
So they couldn't see what they were doing, so it brought their motivation down a little bit. That was a dissatisfaction with them.
Yeah.
Once we discussed that, what their company did is said, okay, what we're going to do is going to let you know on a daily basis how much clean air we have, how much air we've cleaned, so to speak,
Mhm.
and then we'll have it cumulative. So for this year, we will have cleaned, so many metric tons of air, and that was your doing, the work that you're doing.
Mhm. That's a
It,
great example there because you're really talking about that quick win of having them understand the impact that their work is actually doing out in the world.
yeah.
And for someone that is motivated, or a group rather, that's motivated by impact and
Mm-hmm.
motivated by, creativity and autonomy, to be able to tie their work to real metrics of what's happening in the world can be an instant boost for them in
It
terms
is.
of their value. So that's a great quick
Yeah.
win.
And the thing is, the metrics, the information was there.
Mm.
the company never connected the dots about giving that information to their employees because they
Yeah.
didn't know how important it was to them.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great example. And I think that's an example that happens to a lot of companies. Yesterday I was having a conversation with a client about just that, about tying what they're doing for the employees so that they can really see the impact they're making, especially when you have people in who are in professions that really do impact their customers and their clients, in a big way. For them to connect with that is so important. So that's a great example. We're not going to go through all of them, but I really want people to see that how effective motivational maps can be. Like, knowing this information, there are quick wins that you can get just by knowing what your team is motivated by.
Yeah. So going back to my little my quadrants, once
Mhm.
a person has moved up into the top left quadrant, what they do is they need more training, okay? Because they can see themselves growing and they can feel themselves growing. And if you know what their motivators are, you're making sure that those motivators are being fed. So that moves them into the high performing quadrant. Now, the high performing quadrant, they don't need more courses unless they're moving into a different area.
Yeah.
But what they do like, on the whole, you give them the opportunities that again matches their motivation. If somebody is, let's say, they are a high expert, you may give them the chance to mentor somebody up and coming from somebody new in the area so they could share their knowledge.
Mhm.
If there's somebody who want more knowledge, but the courses are not going to help, they can be mentored by one of the leaders as to how they can learn leadership skill and really how they can take their knowledge and the leadership skills they're being mentored at to the next level of the organization. So coaching, mentoring, that's much, much more satisfactory to them. Once we move down to the bottom quadrant where it's high skills and low motivation, the thing that works best is coaching. Okay. You have to talk to them as an individual, find out what their issues is, and coach them back into the highly knowledge, highly motivated person they were. So instead of losing this person because they were bored, or just you reignite their spark and give the organization a real boost because now this is one of their high performers again.
Yeah.
No.
I love that, because especially that point of reigniting their spark, because that is what happens to people. They lose that spark.
Yes.
And then, as you don't want them to leave your organization, especially if they've been great contributors. It's, how do I find a way to keep that person and reignite them back to.
And sometimes their motivations have changed from when they started. So now they want something a little bit different. If you look around the organization, there probably be a place for them to move into a new role where they're going to learn more, and that could be what ignites their spark. But it also, that cross-training strengthens your organization.
Yes.
And this person, again, have stayed and has kept your organizational intelligence within the company.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one. So in our last few moments, I love this, as always. I love the conversations. They're energizing. In our last few moments, what would you say to an organization that is really like they see themselves in this conversation? And so you said their first step is to find a practitioner to help them do a team map. But for that that individual leader, would you recommend before they did a full team map to experience the motivational maps themselves as
Oh,
an individual?
absolutely. Absolutely. Because it gives them an understanding of what that experience is and that there are no good or bad motivators.
Mhm.
They all serve a purpose.
Yeah.
You know, that is probably the most important thing. And every job, every aspect of an organization, every task that has to be done has, it needs a certain motivation to do it well. So when you can start matching people with the right task, the right work, your organization becomes a humming engine
Mhm.
that will drive itself to where you want to go.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Well, if you are interested in actually having this experience, Akila is doing something really extraordinarily special. She is put together a series called My Life by Design, and it is a 5-part series that allows you to dive deeper into each of these 5 aspects. And the first one is really about motivation and self-awareness. So motivation in me. And that will be happening this month. And if you would like the opportunity to join us for that first session, I'll be putting a link below for everyone
Okay.
to be able to join us for that first session. And again, there are 5 sessions. If you're curious about what those sessions are, was last week or the week before, now I can't remember, Akila went through each of the 5 sessions and what you'll get for that. So you can go back and listen to that. Akila, is there anything you'd like to add before we sign off for this week?
Yes. This session coming up at the end of this month is absolutely perfect for leaders because we know that self-awareness is a super leadership skill. And I mean, Harvard has done studies on it. There's been so much about it that leaders need to be self-aware. And I remember there was an article done by Harvard in January, and I think it was 2018, January 2018. And it said, self-awareness is more valuable than an MBA when it comes to leadership.
Wow. Wow.
No,
That's a statement. Wow. I
yeah,
think
it
we'll
is.
end on that note to give people food for thought on that. Self-awareness is a more valuable asset for a leader than an MBA.
Yeah.
That is a mic drop. Well, again, thank you, Akila, for a wonderful Wednesday. And we will see all of you next Wednesday on Mapping It Out Wednesday. Have a wonderful rest of the week. And remember, go ahead and click that link and get more information about this 5-part series. That's going to be amazing.
Thank you very much for doing this. Again, you are a wonderful co-host, and I love being on the show with you.
Oh, thank you.